Game rules are one of the most useful things in the game, but they're often forgot about. Now, just a quick recap of what game rules do. They basically allow you to change aspects of the game just by simply entering a value when either starting a world, or if you have cheats enabled while you are within a world. And there are a lot of different game rules, but there are certain aspects of the game that can't be controlled with these. And over the last few months, I've been working on a mod that adds a lot more game rules to the game. Now, some of them are pretty cool, and also if you would like to see more game rules within this mod, do let me know in the comments, and I will look into adding some of them. But let's cover some of the game rules we have added with this mod. Now, the goal of this mod is just to make Minecraft a little bit more customizable for the player experience. Because although game rules are already a thing, there are some things that I think should have game rules but currently don't. So the first game rule we're going to cover is, can players use chorus fruit? Now, this is a true or false, and by default, this is set to true. So, for example, if I was to grab myself a chorus fruit, which obviously when these are eaten, they will teleport the player randomly. Well, if you set this to false, you'll now see that I eat it, and I do not teleport. So, if you want to disable this ability within your world, so players can still eat chorus fruits, but maybe you find the teleportation thing annoying, well, this is now something you can do. This does also affect items that have the teleports randomly consumable on. So if you was to give a poisonous potato the consumable item component, and then give it the on-consume effect of teleports randomly, this will also disable that. Now, the second one is, can players use ender pearls? Now, once again, this is a true or false, and by default, this is set to true. Now, this one, as you can tell, works exactly the same as the chorus fruit, but for ender pearls. So if I throw an ender pearl, you can see I'm teleported to where the ender pearl lands. Where, if I set this to false, if I was to now throw an ender pearl, it doesn't teleport me, although the ender pearl does still get thrown. And once again, this just means if you are making a world where ender pearls are something you consider overpowered or something, you can now disable the use of them, but they can still be obtained for things like Eyes of Ender. But this mod is also good for maps, so if you're making a map and you want to disable certain points, you can obviously do that. Now, a game rule that is within another mod that I've made, which is no sonic boom, and this is can sonic boom, and this is for the Warden. This is if the Warden can sonic boom or not. Once again, this is a true or false. By default, it is set to true, and if we now quickly just show you what this does, if I grab myself a Warden, and I also grab just some building blocks and then also some snowballs. So once again, spawning a Warden and throwing a snowball at it, you will see that once this Warden has reached a certain anger level, it will then shoot me with its sonic boom attack, which is the laser thing that it lets out of its chest. That thing right there. Now, if I was to set this to false, the Warden wouldn't be able to use that attack, but it would still be able to attack me with its hands. So if I stand up here, you'll see I can stay up here for as long as I would like, and the Warden will never be able to use its sonic attack on me. Now, this is per world, so it won't be able to sonic attack anything within the game. This means fish in the water. This does also mean other animals within the world. But you can see it's not sonic attacking me. Now, the fourth game rule we have added is damage pets. And by default, this is set to true, which if I quickly just show you what this means, this means if you had yourself a wolf or a cat or anything that can be tamed, and this mob was tamed, so let's quickly just grab ourselves some bones. Let's make it the woodsy wolf inside the woods or the forest. So you can see this wolf is now tamed. If I was to punch this, you can see the wolf does die. And that's because I have strength, the fact that it is instantly dead. But if I was to now change this game rule to false, you can see I cannot damage this wolf because it's my wolf. So this means that if you're accidentally fighting a zombie or something like that, you're not accidentally going to kill your pet. Now, this does also work for cats as well. You can see I can no longer hit my cat because it is tamed. Now, the next game rule we are covering is do Enderman teleport? And this one by default is set to true. And you can kind of tell what this one does. If we have ourselves a Enderman, and we was to have this one right here, the best way we can show this is by setting the weather to rain. So you know Endermen don't like water, so this Enderman is going to teleport away to get out of the water. This does also work if you are fighting the Enderman or anything like that. But you see the Enderman does just randomly teleport. Well, just like the chorus fruits, you can set this to false, meaning the Enderman can no longer teleport, so they're just going to sit there dying to the rain, or if you are fighting them, they can't just teleport away and sneak up behind you. Now, along with this, we have do shulkers teleport, and this one by default is once again set to true, and just showing off how shulkers work, once again, they can teleport randomly when they are being fought, or if they have no block under them, they teleport to another available block. Well, if you was to set this game rule to false really quickly, and you was to break the block under them, you can see they can no longer teleport away. This once again does work if you are fighting them. They can't just randomly teleport somewhere else in the world, which once again makes them very easy to kill. Now they can still duplicate because a duplication system uses a whole different type of teleporting. Now the final one related to teleporting is do tamed pets teleport, and once again by default this is set to true. So this means if I was to have a wolf or a cat and I was to travel a few hundred blocks away from them, they'll be able to teleport to my location, which you can see right here. So if I go over here, the wolf and the cat does teleport over to me. But if I was to set this to false, and then I was to head over here once again, the wolf and the cat wouldn't be able to teleport to me. They can only get to me by walking. Now this one is one I just added because it sounds cool. I don't think many players would like this game rule because it does mean pets are a lot harder to deal with, because you have to walk very slowly for them to follow. Now some related to damage. Minecraft have some damage ones in the game by default, like fire damage, freezing damage, and fall damage. Well, we've added some new ones. Kinetic damage. This is damage while you are flying. Once again, by default, this is set to true. So if I quickly just show you, if I grab myself a elytra, now I have the elytra equipped. If I was to fly around in this world, I was to headbutt this tree, you can see I take some damage, and that is called a kinetic energy or kinetic damage. But if I was to set this to false, and I was to now fly around the world, and I was to once again faceplant into this tree, you can see all the damage is consumed and I don't take any damage at all. Once again, just showing it again, if I was to fly in the tree, I don't take any damage. And then the second one related to damage is explosion damage. And once again, by default, this is set to true. And if you don't know what this means things that explode, like TNT. But this don't just mean TNT, it means any explosion within the game. For example, if I was to light this TNT, it's currently set to true, which means I'm going to take damage. But if I was to now set this game rule to false, you can see if I plant the TNT down, go in survival mode and light it, I am not going to take any damage at all, which you can see right there. I do take knockback though, which we'll cover in a second. But once again, this doesn't just affect TNT. Some things that I quickly just want to show you about this damage is end crystals. You can see I no longer take damage to end crystals. Also creepers, I will no longer take damage to creepers. And then also the final one is things like the intentional game design. So, for example, respawn anchors blowing up, and also beds blowing up in the nether. Now once again, jumping back to the knockback, there is also a new game rule, do play a knockback. This is once again a true or false, and by default it is set to true. So you can see this husk has knockback 2 on that wooden sword, and when I get hit by it, I get knocked back, or in another word, pushed backwards, which if I quickly just show you again, I get pushed back by about 1.5 blocks. Now if I was to quickly just set this to false, you'll see that when this husk hits me, let's quickly just heal myself. You can see when this husk hits me, I'm not moved off of this block, because the player knockback is being removed. Now this only works within PvP or PvE. For example, if I was to quickly just explode this end crystal, I still get knocked back. And then the final game rule we're going to cover is once again another damage one, and this is projectile damage. Now once again by default this is set to true. And this, if you can't tell already, this is projectiles from things like skeletons. So as you can see, the skeleton is shooting me and I'm taking damage every time an arrow hits me. But if I was to set this to false, which you can now see, let's also maybe not let this skeleton burn to death. So now the game rule is set to false. If I was to go into survival mode again, you can see the arrows are not damaging me. But if this zombie was to come and hit me, you can see I am still being damaged. So it's basically anything that's a projectile. Projectiles are things like arrows, tridents, eggs, and things like that. And that is it for this video. Once again, we just add a load of new game rules to the game. If you do have any suggestions of game rules you would like to see for options you can customize, do let us know and I will look into adding some of them. And this mod will be available to download, hopefully at the time this video goes live, but if not, shortly after. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought of the video in the comments, and I'll see you guys in another one very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!